This is Legacy Battle. Make sure you hit like and subscribe, whatever you're listening on. I'm Michael Adams, creator of Legacy Battle. My panelists tonight from the Gridiron Battle Zone, Brian King. From Steelers Nation South, Rollo Coughlin. Penn State Collegiate All-Star, Kevin Adams. We are joined by a very special guest tonight. Ranker has him as the 12th greatest all-time bull rider. He's a legend in the sport, a world champion. He's been a Ram Circuit champion 7 times. He has overcome injuries. He even helped film a movie that I'm sure Kevin will mention a little bit later today. He's a 2017 Hall of Fame inductee. We've got Cody Custer here. Cody, thank you so much for joining us.
How's it going today, guys?
Excellent, excellent. We're honored to have you here. You're one of the GOATs. You know, you should be on our honorable mentions list here tonight. So, yeah.
You bet. Well, I appreciate that. I don't know if I deserve that, but had a lot of fun and stayed on a lot.
So tonight's debate is going to be the greatest men's bull rider. We're talking the best 8 seconds in sports here. As always, we're going to have a Q&A after for Cody about his career. Our honorable mentions tonight to some guys that just missed the list is Jim Shoulders and Larry Mahan, two very good riders, but they just missed our picks tonight as who we feel are the GOATs. But we're going to start out with Brian.
All right, so I got JB Mounty. JB's one of the lighter riders the sport has seen, only 140 pounds, despite being 5'10". His leg strength, lack of fear, and just his sheer will, they all rank off the charts. JB has shown his lack of fear time and time again. He routinely will select the toughest bull that there is in a draw. And he's ridden 3-time champion bull Bushwhacker 13 different times. JB is one of only 3 riders to last 8 seconds on that bull. And another legendary bull, 2012 champion Asteroid, he was able to score a 90-plus point ride on that bull. So truly remarkable. JB was quoted as saying, if you're going to be the best, you've got to ride the best. So speaking of 90-plus point rides, JB is close to breaking the all-time record for them. And he only rides part-time now, but he still has a shot. Back in January of 2018, JB reached an impressive milestone, becoming just the 3rd rider to ever reach 500 rides on the Elite Series. JB has won more money than any rider in history. He has topped $7 million in his career. And I haven't even mentioned his accolades yet. 2006 PBR Rookie of the Year. PBR Challenger Tour champion in 2006 and 2009, PBR World Finals Events champion in 2009 and 2013, and PBR World Champion in 2013 and 2015. So we got a multiple champion. He has the longevity, 500 rides. No one has earned more money than him, and there was no bull that ever scared him. So that's JB Mounty.
So, Cody, I'm going to come to you here. Obviously, I want your thoughts on JB, but for some of our viewers who may not be real familiar with this sport, is there a difference, him being left-handed? Like, what's the difference between a lefty and a righty in this sport?
Oh, there's no difference. It's just everybody's got a dominant hand that they, or they have, maybe have balance better with one hand up than the other. But there's no difference. Everybody's going to have something there, where they, where just dominant hand, I guess. I don't know.
Right.
So there's no advantage. I mean, there's no advantage or disadvantage in that. 'Cause, bulls do different things. So you're going to get on bulls that go away from your hand. You're going to get on bulls that go into your hand. So it's just basically everybody's got strengths and weaknesses. So there's really no advantage to which hand you ride with, though.
And what are your thoughts on JB?
Oh, if you're, in the conversation of the most daring, just like a Titan or a Warrior type guy, that's the guy. Him or Tough Hedeman are two of the guys that they kind of have the same mentality. And there's been a lot of guys with that mentality, but JB was just he's kind of a throwback to the old cowboy type guy. Just, I don't know. You can't say enough about that guy's willingness to win, and he actually fell off some pretty easy bulls and rode some really ranked bulls. So I don't know what that I don't know what that means, but I just think I think he rose to the occasion or wanted to rise to the occasion every time, so that he was,
Played
back
to his
before.
competition.
Yeah. And back in my day, there was no picking. You didn't get to pick your animals. So I don't know how many guys would have had that same kind of mentality, but we got on the ones that, if we draw Bodacious or one of those one of the bulls that were kind of a dangerous, scary one, you get on and you put all your heart into it. So it's hard to really compare that mentality to somebody from my era where you didn't get to pick your own bulls too. So, but he's dang sure good guy and great champion and just phenomenal. In his mind he was the greatest. So it showed up a lot.
Well, I'm going to change up the order here of what we're going here a little bit because you mentioned Bodacious. So we're actually going to go to Tough Hedeman here, and I'm representing him. Tough, born in El Paso. He's a 1997 Pro Rider Hall of Fame inductee, 2016 Bull Riding Hall of Fame, as well as several other Hall of Fames. His awards are numerous, including the 95 PBR World Champion. He was also the president of the PBR from 92 to 2004. So that's kind of cool. I enjoyed seeing that. Three-time PRCA bull riding champion. And let's see. So all these Cowboys tonight, like they're great. They're all great. There's not a lot that separates any of them, to be honest. But what makes Tough stick out, in my opinion, here is he had what may be like the greatest ride of all time. I mean, that's another debate for itself. But this was against Bodacious, the Bucker, the legendary Bucker. This bull has a sculpture in the History Museum. He's so famous. 1,900 pounds, unrideable. 4 years. In 4 years, he was unrideable, bucking 127 of 135 riders. That's insane numbers there. So Tough rode him twice, failing to remain on him for the 8 seconds. And then they'd meet a third time in 1993. Where Tough would score a 95, near perfect ride. It's an incredible ride. I know I'm going to post it on here as well as the ride of him, his first ride on him. He took a really bad hit to the face. Bodacious nearly killed him. I mean, he could have crushed his skull in that first ride. So, I mean, Bodacious's downdraft that he could cause was probably greater than any bull I've ever seen. So just to kind of put this all together here, some of the stats: 4-time world champion, 6 Hall of Fames and 2 Walk of Fames. He's the first bull rider to make $1 million, and he conquered Bodacious. He's my GOAT. So, Cody, what are your thoughts on Tough? And you mentioned Bodacious.
Yeah, Tough was he's a couple years older than I was. So when I came in, Tough was already kind of having success, and when I started having success, he was already, I think he won the world in 86. So he was kind of the champ when I came along and started doing well. So I've been around him a long time. I always had a positive attitude, and always he was a guy that, well, I've known Tough since we were kids. He was kind of a chubby kid, didn't ride very good, kind of pigeon-toed. You never thought he would have been, a legendary bull rider if you'd have known him when he was a kid. So it's kind of one of those guys that just determined himself to be great. It wasn't from natural ability or anything like that. It's just he just decided he was going to be a great bull rider at some point in life, and he had a great career. So he wouldn't have been a guy that you would pick to be in the conversation of the greatest ever. But on the backside of his career, dang sure one of the guys that I respect in the arena for what he did and how great he was.
I mean, and when your name is Tough, you got to be a bull rider, right? I mean, that's just a perfect first name.
His name's Richard, but he got a nickname Tough because he smashed his hand in the car door and never said anything, so they start calling him Tough. So that's
Nice.
that's the story I heard anyway.
Well, let's move
There's
on
some other
to
nicknames for him. He's got some
yeah.
other nicknames for him that I can't talk about right
Okay.
now.
Well, let's move on to our next rider, and definitely a great pick, deserved pick, but also sentimental pick. Go ahead, Kevin.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about Lane Frost. Unfortunately, had a very short career, but he started out pretty young. When he was 10 years old, he had won his first rodeo award at the Little Buckaroos Rodeo for calf riding. So he started out pretty young. Um, he went to Oklahoma for high school, and he became the bull riding champion of the state in '81, and then became the champion of the first youth national finals in '82. Then after that, he became pretty much full time with the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, bull riding in '82. In '87, he became the PRCA World Champion bull rider at just the age of 24. He also rode a bull named Red Rock, which I feel was a little bit more intense than Bodacious, because in 309 attempts, nobody successfully rode that bull. So in '88, a tournament called Challenge of the Champions basically was a show that went around, did 7 shows. It was between the 2 champions in '87. So it was Frost versus Red Rock. Frost ended up riding that bull 7 times, and he completed 4 successful rides on that bull out of the 7 after previous 309 attempts. So more intense than Bodacious, I feel. He went on to compete at the '88 Rodeo Challenge Cup, which was part of like the Olympics. It was like an association with the Olympics in Calgary in '88. In '89, unfortunately, he was at the Cheyenne Frontier Days event, and a bull named Taking Care of Business had struck him after Frost had dismounted, pushed him against the ground, breaking several of his ribs, which would later puncture his heart. And then he was pronounced deceased at the age of 25. In 1990, he was inducted into the Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. Red Rock, the bull that he conquered 4 out of 7 times, he was also inducted to the same Pro Rodeo Hall of Fame. 2008, he was inducted into the Rodeo Hall of Fame. 2017, inducted into the Bull Riding Hall of Fame. But I feel like Frost has the best legacy here out of who we're talking about today. So since '96, the PBR has awarded the Lane Frost Brent Thurman Award, given to the highest scoring ride at the PBR World Finals. So he has the highest scoring award named after him. The Lane Frost Health and Rehabilitation Center was dedicated to his memory. After his death, one of his traveling partners created that protective vest that bull riders have to wear, and it was mandated in '96 that they have to wear it while they ride. There's been numerous songs named after, not named after him, but dedicated to him, done in his honor. Some from Garth Brooks, Korn, Kings of Leon, to name a few. There's also a documentary about him. Then who can forget the movie 8 Seconds, based on his life. Luke Perry, Stephen Baldwin, Renee Zellweger made an appearance in that movie. And then Ranker had listed him #1 of all time. So I feel his legacy's out there. Awards named after him. Some of the rules have changed with the PBR because of his accident. So I feel like he leaves a bigger legacy here today.
And Cody Custer was in that movie as well, doing some of the
Yep.
bull riding. So Cody,
Yeah, big honor.
yeah, I'm sure you knew him well. Obviously, his career ended too early. Just what could have been is something we're all going to wonder. He put up a legendary status just in his short time period, though.
Yeah, that's the whole thing. Nobody knows what the fullness of his career, if he was able to, have a long career, what he would have done. Lane was a little bit like he reminded me a little bit of JB. He built a lot like JB, kind of had the same kind of style, and a little bit fragile like JB, and just it's unfortunate that we lost Lane, because he was really a great ambassador for the sport, and really cared about people. He was a good human, and on top of his bull riding career, to me, that makes me more proud of that I was able to know the guy and be a friend with him and stuff, that he was, he was a great human being. And so, yeah, in the conversation of the greatest ever, we don't know. So he won the world title, and struggled through some stuff in his in his riding, and he was back on track. When he got killed, I don't know where he ended up. He might have won second or third at Cheyenne that day, but
He got third, yeah.
he was back on track to be, kicking butt again, and just very unfortunate deal. And Lane won the world in '87, and that was the first year I made the national finals. So he's a few years older than me, and kind of a guy I looked up to, and really cherished his friendship. Good dude, and I still talk to his mom and dad quite often. Actually, Clyde's birthday was the other day, and then tomorrow is actually the anniversary of Lane's death, July 30th. So it's a little emotional. That's actually the same. My dad passed away in 2018 on July 30th. So kind of I don't know. It's an emotional time right now, because I think every guy that was a bull rider when Lane got killed contemplated why, what, how, all that. Am I really going to be a bull rider? You know what I'm saying? So it was he was a hero to everybody, and really, not just a hero. He was a friend to everybody. He was a guy that really cared about people. So anyway,
If you haven't seen that movie, everybody check it out. 8 seconds, good film, worth the watch. Let's move on to our final rider. Go ahead, Rollo.
I got Ty Murray, nicknamed the King of Cowboys. He was riding calves by the age of 8. And he was helping his pops Butch break wild horses and winning his first rodeo in grade school. Around that same time, in 3rd grade, a teacher asked Ty, "What do you want to do with your life?" And young Ty said, "I want to break Larry Mahan's record." Mahan at the time had 6 world all-around world titles at that time. He joined the Professional Rodeo Cowboy Association at the same time, was part of the National Intercollegiate Rodeo Association while attending Odessa College, killing records at the school. He was the PRCA overall and bareback Rookie of the Year in 1988 while qualifying for the National Finals Rodeo in all 3 qualifying events, the first to do it since Larry Mahan in 1973. At age 20, he became the youngest rodeo rider ever to win the PRCA World Championship and NIRA title the same year. At age 23, he was the youngest millionaire in rodeo history, and in 1992, he became a founding member of the Professional Bull Riders, which is known as the PBR. In 1997, Murray did what he said back in 3rd grade, and he broke Larry Mahan's record, earning his 7th all-around world champ. When Mahan was inducted into the Rodeo Hall of Fame, he gave Ty an autographed trophy buckle. In 2000, the King of Cowboys was inducted into the Rodeo Hall of Fame. He's one of the co-founders of the PBR. He was on Dancing with the Stars. He co-wrote a song with Jewel. That's one of her albums. He's a 7-time PRCA all-around champ and 2-time PRCA bull riding champ. He's in 11 different Hall of Fames for bull riding. I think this is the guy, greatest of all time.
Cody, outside of the riding world, I'm gonna have to say Ty Murray is probably the most known. The Dancing with the Stars, being married to the superstar in Joel. People outside of the bull riding world know him. Does that make him maybe seem a little greater than what his stats are, or is he that good?
No, I mean, Ty, I've known Ty since he was little, and he's always been a winner. He's all, he had his goals set. He had that on his mind, and he went and did what he was going to do. So, I mean, you put him as far as great all-around cowboy, that you can't argue with that. But the bull riding, I mean, there's lots of guys that are in the conversation, in my mind, ahead of Ty being the greatest bull rider ever. But yeah, great, like a great all-around cowboy, and represented the sport well, kind of like Larry Mahan, crossed over into, probably brought new fans in because of his stuff that he did outside the arena. But yeah, I don't know. You can't say anything about that. That guy was he was a machine, all 3 riding events. And nobody knows this, but he actually could rope pretty good too when he was a kid. So
Well, we'll see if mainstream wins in our vote. Let's move into our vote, guys. Cannot pick your own. Brian, you're in my corner. Who are you taking?
This is actually pretty tricky. There's guys brought up a lot of good stuff. I'm gonna go with Tough though. I that rivalry there with Bodacious was very impressive. So I'm gonna go with him.
Kevin.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Tough too.
All right. Rollo.
Yeah, I got to go tough.
Wow. Okay. Pressure on me here. Yeah, I like Ty Murray. I I wish Frost would have got more time. You know, it's hard for me to vote for someone as the GOAT when they did it for such a short time period. And he may be the best, like as far as just in that time period for sure, but I just wish he had some more time. And so I'm gonna go Ty. How about you, Cody? Who would you take as your greatest?
Are we talking about guys we talked about, or did I go outside that?
Well, how about the guys we talked about? And then if you want to go outside that, give me one. Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna probably say JB Mooney.
Okay.
If that's in the conversation of the guys we talked about, JB would be my pick.
And then who would be your GOAT otherwise?
I go back to the era from Jim Sharp was the guy that over a career there was nobody better. He did one thing and he did it well, and their bull riding was pretty simple to him, and he kept it simple. So yeah, in my mind, Jim Sharp of a guy that I saw his whole career, that's the guy that in my mind is the greatest ever.
Okay. So a win for Tough Hedeman tonight. Let's move into our Q&A. I got the win, so I get first question. Oh, geez, I got like 5 of them here, but let me pick a good one. Let's see. Okay, let's go here. CBN, they did Cody Custer, A Cowboy's Tale. I was very impressed. I really enjoyed listening to that. Tell us how your faith has helped you overcome your addictions. That's something we like to ask athletes when they come on. It's a very important part of our show and life in general for people.
Well, you're talking about the what is it, Cowboys? I've done so many.
Yeah, it was a CBN radio thing. Cody Custer's A Cowboy's Tale.
Yeah, I mean, that deal was back way long before I wouldn't call myself having an addiction problem, but I just, from the time I was a kid, I knew God I just knew him, and I think we all do at some point, but I think the world kind of jades us and we stray away. But I relied on my faith a lot just because I would find my place of getting inside myself through my faith and through time spent, in prayer and just getting with myself here. So part of my ride, every time I went forward in a more of a commitment to the Lord, felt like my riding went to a different level. So I do a lot of bull riding schools, and I share a lot with kids about that, but I think a lot of people get kind of use their faith as a vantage point or whatever, and I try to keep that from being what I'm talking about. I'm talking about just living your life, being a great human being to other people, and spending time talking to the Lord and listening and just being a good human, because bull riding careers don't last very long, even if you have a long career. And so in my mind, what I'm doing with these young guys is I'm training them to be a great human being and then also be a great bull rider. And so I don't know, my faith is a big part of my life. And I don't know, everything revolves around that. So I don't know, I keep talking about that, but my relationship with Jesus started in I think it started long before this, but in 1983, I made a decision and then started walking it out in about 1988. Basically, Jeff Crockett's a friend of mine that got killed in 1988, and then I made some pretty good decisions after Jeff got killed, and then of course Lane got killed. So those things that are, you know, kind of meant to be bad, they kind of turn out to be good in a lot of people's lives. And so I think Lane and his story, and you know, his mom and dad, they talk about his faith, Lane's faith. He made a decision before he got killed. So I think it's touched a lot of people and affected a lot of people in and around the rodeo world. So faith's really important.
We'll go Rollo, Kevin, Brian.
Cody, you said earlier that back in your day, you guys didn't choose the bull you rode. So how did you go into preparing, not knowing what you were going to be riding? How did you go in preparing? What was your regimen going into a ride?
Well, there's the foundation of bull riding is basically riding the shoulders of the animal, and because wherever the shoulders go, the rest of the animal's going to go. So in my mind, I had one thing on my mind, and that's to get to one spot over the top of the shoulders and stay there. And when you get out of that place, you know, that athletic position, get right back there. So I kind of liked it when I didn't know what they were going to do, because then I wouldn't set a trap. You know, my mind wouldn't start, you know, trying to outthink the bull instead of just doing one thing and riding the animal for what he was doing. You know what I'm saying? That's so I think too many guys get caught up in the turns and all that stuff. And for me, it was just one thing: just get straight forward to the, you know, on top of the shoulders and be in an athletic, strong position in the jump. Because when they jump, they're pushing with their hind feet, so it's always a forward movement. They're always trying to get out from under you. So to me, my preparation was, you know, stretch really good, get ready, get your mind ready. And then when that gate opened, you get to the strong place and try to get there every jump. So I'm kind of glad we didn't get to pick them, because you just kind of had to be a rounded bull rider and not think about what the bull might do, because there was a lot of times we get on bulls we didn't know. So, but I don't know. I was never in that situation, so maybe I would have really liked it too. I don't know.
So talking about the bulls and not knowing which one you rode. So which bull that throughout your career would you say was the scariest or the hardest? Like, what was the bull that everyone wanted to like avoid the most?
Well, I mean, there's Bodacious, of course, was one that I didn't like him just because I thought he was a cheap shot. I didn't think he played fair. You know, he kind of get squatted back down in that chute, kind of have the jump on you, and then he was dangerous anyway. So I got on him one time, and I was glad I never got on him more than that. But there's a lot of bulls out there that were really undesirable, but we rode bulls for a living. That's in my mind, that's the difference between the guys that are the champions and the guys that aren't. Is the guys that are the champions they're bull riders. There's other guys that ride bulls, but you know, in my mind, I was a bull rider. That's what I did to feed my family and take care, you know. So you gotta have that mentality to lay everything on the line and not take the easy way out. And I see a lot of guys that call ourselves riders, but they take the easy way out more often than not. So I don't know if that answers your question. There was a couple of bulls that were a little bit scary, but I don't know. That's what you did for a living, so don't be scared.
Well, Cody, I understand that over the past dozen years or so, the PBR has seen a large excuse me, a large increase in Brazilian riders, and they've been rather successful. 8 PBR champions since 2010 have been Brazilian. So, what differences do they bring to the sport, if any? And are there any other cultural groups that we may see succeed in the sport's future?
I don't think as a whole that we're going to see anybody else, any other cultural group that comes and dominates like the Brazilians. Number one, the Brazilians don't show up here till they're about 24. So they've matured. They've ridden a lot of bulls down there. They've matured. And number two, they've lived in true poverty. American poverty is I can't get my Wi-Fi. Down there, they've got to, they got to get up and go, whatever it is. I don't, they live in huts. They live in houses with dirt floors. I mean, they understand poverty at a level that no American does, and so they're not soft like a lot of the American kids. That poverty's, whatever. Poverty don't mean anything to Americans compared to what. So in my mind, that's why they've come and done well, because they see a way of getting out of poverty. And so they're disciplined, and they're here for a reason. And the American boys, a lot of the American boys they got cushy lives, I guess. I don't know how you explain it, but it's just a different deal. That they're here for a reason. A lot of the PBR, a lot of the young American guys are playing a game. They're not, this isn't life and death. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I know you're working. Do you have time for one more question each?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm not working. I'm just sitting in traffic.
So after 92, you battled a lot of injuries. How are you able to come back at such a high level after that?
Well, like I mentioned a minute ago, I was a bull rider. It wasn't a part-time deal for me. That's what I did for a living, And so there was no I guess there was no other option. You know what I'm saying? That's what I did for a living. And so 93, 94, 95, 96, and 97, I had injuries that kept me from going to the NFR. I rode at the PBR finals a couple of those years while I was hurt, but it just wasn't, I wasn't at a high level, and I battling injuries and stuff. So, but I just think that's what I did. I was a bull rider. And so I can't really pinpoint what made me get back to a high level, other than the fact that that's just what I did. That's what I did. That's what I did for a living. And, I quit in 97. I decided I was done because I was tired of getting hurt. So I went to work. I went to work for my buddy, framing houses and pouring concrete and roofing houses. And that shit made me want to be a bull rider again. So I wasn't really cut out to be a roofer. Right. So it made me get back to it and kind of have the right mentality going back into it. So, I don't know. It's, not that I couldn't do that stuff. It just kind of spurred me on to go back to riding bulls. And so I went back and rode bulls until I was 38 competitively. And then I quit that year just because I was past my prime, and everybody knew it. I guess everybody knew it, but me. I was the last one to figure it out. It's like, so I did something about it. But anyway, it was time. 38's a little long, but I think those years in there where I was hurt kind of gave me a little bit more longevity than some other guys. So
same order: Rollo, Kevin, Brian.
Cody, you were one of the founding fathers of the PBR. What collectively made you guys want to make this organization work, and how did it formulate? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so there was a lot of standalone bull ridings coming along, and we felt like we didn't have, can't get insurance as a bull rider if you go into the insurance company and tell them you're a bull rider. So there was a lot of guys that were getting on at events that with no insurance, and so these producers were, making pretty good money doing these events and just giving us kind of crumbs, and we felt like they're selling tickets on our name, and we have no say in this deal. So basically there was an organization called Bull Riders Only, and they tried to make everybody sign contracts where basically they own the rights to us, and I wouldn't sign the contract. I didn't even go to them in the first year they had them. And Cody Lambert asked one time why I didn't go to him. I said, well, I wouldn't sign their contract. And he kind of laughed because a bunch of the other guys didn't sign the contract. I just didn't get along with the guy that was putting it on. And so a handful of those guys got together and pretty much told Bull Riders Only if I didn't get invited, they weren't coming. And so I think it made us understand we had some power in numbers as a collective bargaining group. And so that's kind of a part of that. I mean, that's just part of my story of how it all came about. But basically, we were just trying to make a living. We were trying to make a better living for ourselves and maybe set something up for the next generation to have it even better. I don't think anybody envisioned what's going on now. And, JB Mooney winning $7 million. That's incredible. And so we were just trying to make a better living for ourselves. And we all stuck together and kind of missed some events over being a group and sticking together, and it paid off. So pretty good story.
So I want to take you to some of your highest point totals was when you rode Red Wolf, Wolfman, Cripple Creek, Promised Land, Squirt. Which bull was like your most memorable ride?
There was a bull called Pacific Bell that he won Bull of the Year in 88 and 89. I drew him about 2 weeks after he got named the Bull of the Year the first time in 1988 at San Francisco at Cow Palace. And I was the first guy to ride him after he was named Bull of the Year. And to me, that was the first time I was 90 points. And just to me, that stands out in my mind as the most memorable type. You know what I'm saying? For me, it was a I don't even know what you call it. It was something that propelled me to the next level in my confidence and in my, my career. So it's a monumental ride for me. You know what I'm saying? That was the first time I was 90 points. I got on that bull 5 times. That was the only time I got a qualified ride on. I got a scar on my chin every time I shave. I remember Pacific Bell. So, but if you're talking about the greatest ride I ever made was on a bull called High Fives at the PBR finals in Denver in 1992. I was 95 points, and it was the greatest ride in my mind that I ever made. So High Fives was a bull, a son of Mr. T, who was a bucking Bull of the Year. So it's just that in my mind is the greatest ride I ever made. So there was a lot of really good rides, but that in my mind, that's the one.
Pacific Bell was your that was the Grand National in '88, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so that's a good story because I was out for the first half of the year of '88, and so I got a late start. I didn't start back riding until late May, and ended up qualifying at the for the national finals at San Francisco, the last rodeo of the year. So there's a lot that ride really has meaning for me,
So, Cody, you were the PBR's director of judging for 4 years, and you also served many years on a rules committee. rider safety has come a long way since your pro riding days. So could you describe some of the changes to rider safety the sport has seen over the years?
Well, I mean, obviously, it's the vests came into play in the early '90s, probably '90. I think the first time I ever put a vest on was '93, and it was, that right there. It really didn't change anything for us, and it was great protection. So it didn't. I got on one bull with a helmet just to, and I never gave it another chance because but these kids nowadays, they grow up wearing helmets and all kinds of protective padding and stuff like that. So they're accustomed to it. It's not foreign to them. For me, it was I wasn't ever going to give a helmet a chance again. But I got a few scars on my forehead and my chin that if I'd have been wearing a helmet, I might not have. But yeah, I think the main thing is just knowing the violence of our sport is huge, and for that many years, for all of us to go without wearing any kind of protective equipment is a little bit crazy, actually. But we didn't know any better, so we're just being cowboys, Figure they could stitch us up if we got our chin split. We just go get some stitches. So.
Well, we want to thank the Hall of Famer, Cody Custer. Thank you so much for coming on, Cody.
Hey, you bet, guys. I appreciate it. And if you guys think about it, go look up some stats on Jim Sharp. You guys might change your minds.
Will do. I'll remind everybody,
right.
Make sure you hit that like and subscribe button and that notification button. We'll see you all next time. Thank you for watching. Have a great day.